Max was 8 years old and loved quiet nights. He liked his small room, his blue blanket, and the soft light from the hallway. But one night, something felt different. When the house became silent, Max heard a sound under his bed. It was not loud. It was a soft scratch, slow and careful. Max held his breath. He listened again. Scratch, pause, scratch. His heart beat fast. He told himself it was only the house. Old houses make noises, he thought. Still, he pulled the blanket closer to his chin. The sound returned. This time, it came with a warm puff of air, like a tiny breath. Max sat up. He looked at the dark space under the bed. Nothing moved. Nothing spoke. "Hello?" he whispered, feeling a little silly. The sound stopped. For a moment, everything was quiet again. Max waited. He almost laughed and lay back down. Then 2 small lights blinked in the darkness. They were not stars. They were not toys. They were eyes, watching him, patient and afraid, just like him. Max swallowed, unsure if he should scream, hide, or speak again, as the quiet room seemed to wait for him to decide first. Max was 8 years old and loved quiet nights. He liked his small room, his blue blanket, and the soft light coming from the hallway. Everything felt safe when the house was quiet. But one night, something felt different. As Max closed his eyes, he heard a sound under his bed. It was not loud. It was a soft scratch, slow and careful. Scratch, pause, scratch. Max opened his eyes and held his breath. His heart began to beat faster. He told himself it was nothing. Old houses make strange noises, he thought. Still, he pulled the blanket up to his chin. Then he felt something warm, like a small breath, touching his ankle. Max sat up quickly and looked at the dark space under the bed. "Hello!" he whispered, his voice shaking. The sound stopped. The room became very quiet again. Max waited. He almost laughed at himself and started to lie back down. Suddenly, 2 small lights blinked in the darkness. They were not toys. They were not reflections. They were eyes. The eyes looked scared, just like Max felt. The room seemed to hold its breath as Max stared back, wondering what could possibly be hiding under his bed. Max stayed very still. The eyes blinked again, slow and careful. Then something moved forward. A small head appeared from under the bed. It was red, round, and shiny. Max gasped softly. It was a dragon. Not a big dragon like in the movies. This dragon was small, about the size of a cat. It had tiny wings, short legs, and a long tail that shook when it moved. A little smoke came out of its nose. The dragon looked at Max and froze. They stared at each other for a long moment. Then the dragon squeaked. Max blinked. You're real," he said quietly. The dragon tried to speak. "Hello," it said, slowly and incorrectly. The words sounded strange, like it was new. Max felt less scared. The dragon looked nervous, not dangerous. It took a small step back and hit its head on the bed frame. "Ouch!" the dragon said, rubbing its head. Max smiled without thinking. "Are you okay?" The dragon nodded quickly. "Yes. Okay. Sorry." Max sat on the edge of the bed. His fear slowly turned into curiosity. He realized something important. The dragon could talk. Max took a deep breath. "My name is Max," he said slowly. "What is your name?" The dragon tilted its head. "Name?" it asked. "Yes, your name." The dragon thought for a moment. "Spark," it said proudly. "That's a cool name," Max said. Spark smiled, showing very small teeth. "Thank you." Max noticed something strange. Spark spoke slowly, like a child learning to talk. Some words were missing. Some sounded wrong. Max tried again. "Where are you from?" Spark frowned. "From home," he said. "Lost home." Max nodded. "It's okay. We can talk." Spark's eyes lit up. "Talk good," he said. "You talk slow." Max smiled. He spoke carefully. I can help you. Spark moved closer. Help? Yes. Help, Max repeated. Spark nodded again. Help good. They sat there, facing each other. Max said simple words. Spark repeated them. Bed, room, boy, dragon. Spark laughed when he said dragon. Max felt something warm in his chest. He was not scared anymore. He felt excited. But then Spark looked sad. He lowered his head and whispered, Want home. Max knew this was only the beginning. Max leaned closer. Tell me about your home, he said gently. Spark looked at the floor. Home is warm, he said slowly. Many dragons, big fire. Safe. Max listened carefully. Spark pointed at himself. I small. I fly bad. He flapped his tiny wings and shook his head. I fall? You fell? Max asked. Spark nodded. Fall. Here? He pointed at the floor under the bed. Magic door, close. Magic door, Max asked. Yes, Spark said. Door open, door close. Now, stuck. Max thought for a moment. A magic door sounded scary and exciting at the same time. Do you know how to open it again? Max asked. Spark shook his head. Need words? He said. Right words. What words? Max asked. Spark shrugged. I forget. Max looked around his room. Everything looked normal. But now, nothing felt normal. We can find them, Max said. The words. Spark looked up. You help me? Yes, Max said without thinking. Spark smiled. A small flame danced at the tip of his tail, but then Spark heard footsteps in the hallway. He froze. Danger, he whispered. Max's heart jumped. Someone was coming. Hide, Max whispered. Spark looked around quickly. Where? Under the beds, Max said. Spark slid back just as Max's door opened. His mom peeked inside. Max, are you awake? Max sat up straight. No. I mean, yes. Just thinking. His mom smiled. Go to sleep, she said. Big day tomorrow. Okay, Max said quickly. The door closed. Max waited until the hallway was quiet again. Spark crawled out slowly. That's scary, he said. It's okay, Max whispered. You must stay secret. Secret, Spark repeated. Yes. No one can see you. Spark nodded seriously. The next days were hard. Max hid food for Spark. He whispered words at night. Spark practiced speaking. Home, Spark said one night. We'll get you there, Max replied. Max learned to be careful. He listened for footsteps. He closed his door softly. But one night, Spark showed Max something new. He pulled a small, glowing paper from under the bed. Map, Spark said. Max's eyes widened. The paper floated in the air. Lines appeared slowly. This can help us, Max whispered. The adventure had truly begun. The map glowed softly, filling the room with warm light. Max stared at it. It's beautiful, he said. Spark nodded. Map, listen, he explained. Listen, Max asked. Spark pointed to Max's mouth. Words. Max tried speaking. Show us the door. Nothing happened. Spark shook his head. Simple words, he said. Max thought carefully. Door, he said. Home. The map shimmered. A glowing path appeared. It worked, Max whispered. They followed the map around the room. It pointed toward the floor, under the bed. The door is here? Max asked. Spark nodded. Magic place, he said. Max felt nervous but excited. He spoke slowly. Open door! The floor shimmered, but did not open. Spark frowned. Need brave words, he said. Brave words? Max asked. Spark touched his chest. Feel strong. Max closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. Please open, he said calmly. The floor glowed brighter. A soft hum filled the room. A thin line of light appeared. They stepped back, watching. The door was coming back. The glowing line became a small opening. Cool air came out. Max looked at Spark. Are you ready? Spark nodded. Ready. They stepped through together. They were no longer in Max's room. They stood in a quiet street under the stars. Everything looked frozen. No cars moved. No lights blinked. Time stopped, Spark whispered. Max's eyes widened.
Wow!
The map floated ahead, leading them forward. They walked past houses and trees. Everything felt calm and strange. Suddenly, a shadow moved. Max froze. Did you see that? Spark nodded. Guardian, he said. A small stone creature stepped out. It looked at them. Who goes? It asked. Max swallowed. He spoke slowly. We are friends. The creature tilted its head. Say it clear. We are friends, Max repeated. The creature smiled and stepped aside. They continued walking. Max felt braver with every step. He spoke more confidently. Spark walked taller. At the end of the street, a glowing circle waited. The portal, Spark said. Max felt his chest tighten. This was it. They stood together, knowing the journey was almost over. The portal glowed softly, like warm fire. Max stepped closer. He felt the magic in the air. Spark hesitated. Scared, he admitted. It's okay, Max said.
You're brave. Spark smiled. You teach me brave.
Max nodded. And you taught me courage. The portal flickered. Words appeared in the air. Say them, Spark said. Max read slowly. Home, safe, together. The portal grew brighter. Spark stepped forward. Then he stopped and turned back. You come. Max shook his head gently. This is your home. Spark's eyes filled with light. Thank you, he said clearly. The portal opened fully. Spark took one last look at Max. Friend, he said. Max smiled. Friend. Spark stepped into the light. The portal slowly closed. The street faded. Max stood alone. The silence returned. Then the world moved again. Cars drove. Lights turned on. Max was back in his room. The map fell gently onto the floor and faded away. Max sat on his bed, feeling sad but proud. He whispered, Goodbye, Spark. That night, Max dreamed of fire and wings. The next morning, his room looked the same. No dragon, no math, but Max felt different. At school, he spoke with confidence. He used new words. He listened carefully. He smiled more. At night, he checked under his bed. Nothing was there, but the room felt warm. Max knew he would never forget. That night, Max lay in bed, smiling softly. The house was quiet again. No scratches, no glowing eyes. Just peace. Max closed his eyes and remembered Spark's voice. The simple words. The courage. He whispered, Thank you. The room stayed quiet, but Max knew something magical had happened. And he knew something else too. Learning new words could open doors, even magic ones. The night stayed calm, and Max slept, ready for tomorrow.